Wake up, Rip City, because your Portland Trail Blazers have now won 2 games in a row. We talked about the schedule getting easier, and it has. The Blazers have won their last 2 games, but last night they win 134-133 in overtime over the Sacramento Kings, and Gliss, that was the worst Blazers win that I can ever remember watching. Absolutely horrifying. I was pissed off after the game. I didn't honestly even care that they won right after. I've calmed down a little bit. I'm in a better mood now. But man, what a horrible game. And we're going to talk about it today. This is the Wake Up Rip City podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Alex Moore. Joined alongside me, it's Jay Gliss. Today on the show, we're going to talk about that Blazers win in overtime over the Kings. Only a win by the score after the game, a loss in virtually every other facet. We'll talk about that game. All-Star voting has begun. We'll talk about the All-Star game and voting for DENI and kind of what our expectations are for that. And then we're also going to touch on the Zach Lowe show. Zach Lowe had a section where he talked about the Blazers for quite a while in one of his most recent podcasts. So we also want to touch on that and kind of bring it to a context of a national perspective on what people are saying about this Portland Trail Blazers team. But Gliss, let's start with the game last night, man. I can't remember a time I have been more pissed off after a Blazers game. And I know we have a lot to talk about on that side, but we start off every episode, no matter what happened, waking up on the right side of the bed because we hate all the negativity that exists on the internet. So let's start on the positive side, Gliss. What's your wake up on the right side of the bed from the Blazers win over the Kings?
I mean, this is an easy one, but they have a winning streak.
There you go.
I can't remember the last time they had a winning streak. So that kind of stood out in my mind, despite some of the negative things we'll get into about the game. A win is a win. And at the end of the day, that's you turn the page and move on from there. So it's nice that they have 2 in a row, and we'll look forward to the schedule, I'm sure, talk about that a little bit and kind of some of the opportunity. And in fact, in that Zach Lowe podcast you were talking about, he actually alluded to that as well. But yeah, we'll talk about the negative stuff, but 2 wins in a row, we'll take it.
Absolutely. That's exactly how I felt after the game, Gliss. I was like, well, not after the game. After the game, I was really pissed. But as I settled down and got ready to go to bed, I was like, okay, a win is a win. They have that. There's that, saying that every coach says, every player says, you never apologize for a win. They won. They beat the Kings. On the standings at the end of the season, when you look at the wins of the Blazers season, this will be one of those wins, no matter what. You can never take that away. At least I don't think they can, and I don't think they will. No. But, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. But that was a win. They did it. They won in overtime. Shaedon Sharpe, absolutely incredible in the first half. In the second half, he started to slow down a bit. I mean, his shooting, he was red hot from 3 in that first half, and just continued where he'd left off in this kind of stretch of Blazers basketball recently. Absolutely amazing. Ends up sitting all of overtime. We'll touch on that in a second when we get to our negatives too. But I mean, Shaedon is another positive from this game. I thought CD Sissoko played another great game. His effort, he was everywhere on the court. He made just some great plays on the defensive side of the ball as well. Chris Murray was a positive in this game as well. Had a positive impact. And in that fourth quarter when the Blazers were almost up 20, I think up 18 at one point, I was like, okay, we haven't really had a game yet this season where we've got to kind of relax a little bit. And the game was so close up in the first 3 quarters, and then the Blazers kind of blew it up in the fourth, and then everything just went to hell. But yeah, I think those are the other positives. Any other wake up on the right side of the bed before we really get into the meat of the negative of this game, Gliss?
No, I'm good.
Donovan Clingan also had a good game.
Yeah, he was very impressive.
Yeah. So there were a lot of good takeaways, but okay, let's dive into it, Gliss. So I'm watching obviously watching the team just absolutely fall apart in the fourth quarter, and it doesn't really feel like they're losing it until pretty much the very last couple minutes, and all of a sudden you realize, oh, this
really,
is
really the last minute, I would say.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it really was like everything like really turned where it felt dangerous, like, you know, with like 50 seconds left. It's like,
And
how did we get here?
all of a sudden DeMar DeRozan has a wide open three to tie the game. It's like, what weren't the Blazers just up 18? It's like, what, how is this happening? The Blazers just absolutely fell apart, could not inbound the ball, just ridiculous turnovers, and Kamara fouls out. And I remember when Kamara fouled out and just thinking in my head, that's not great, because they are so limited due to, yes, the injuries, and I don't even want to talk about the injuries, but you know, like, that's the fact of the matter is they're limited on the roster. So as soon as Kamara goes out, then you have to bring in, you know, CD Sissoko, who we both have loved how he's played this season, but obviously cannot replace what Toumani Kamara does on the defensive side of the ball, or on the offensive side of the ball. We'll learn, because Toumani Kamara is the one who inbounds the ball for the Blazers in late game situations. Like, at least without Drew Holiday there. Maybe Drew Holiday would do it if he was playing as well. But Toumani makes pretty... Oh, let's be honest. This team has struggled inbounding the ball quite a bit this season overall.
Yeah.
But without Toumani, all of a sudden, CD's doing it, Chris Murray's doing it, and it was rough to watch. They just couldn't do it. And if you're going to foul when you're up 3, you have to be able to inbound the ball. And that seems like the least worry of those concerns, right? Because when you're fouling up 3, you have to be able to, one, hit your free throws. Like, that's the most important part. You have to be able to rebound in case, you know, in case there's any misses on the free throw side of the ball. Inbounding the ball doesn't seem like something that you would think about that much. But of course, it's so important. And when it's not happening, it's like, it just becomes like something that you're like, I don't know, it just seems like it should be second nature, but then it just becomes something that's such a big deal, especially when the Blazers were falling apart at the end of that game and in overtime.
Yeah, it's a simple thing in basketball, but you take it for granted when your team can't do it consistently. Apparently, I mean, it's not. Yeah, it's one of those things that is not something that can happen consistently if you want to be a good NBA team. It's just unacceptable, really. Yeah, there's going to be mistakes at times, but you're right. This is not the first time we've seen this issue, especially in close games. I can think of several other games where there was similar situations that, you know, came back to bite them, that, you know, most likely ended in losses. And yeah, I mean, they got to be better. Those kind of mental things, you can't have it on if you want to be a good NBA team. It's just here and there, sure, but in late game situations where you need to have that focus and really execute, like that's not a good thing. That's a bad sign.
And Gliss, I mean, you have to point a little bit to the coaching here.
Yes.
I mean, it's the coach's responsibility to draw up a play for the team in those situations to easily inbound the ball. And when it's not happening time after time, it's really problematic. I remember early in the season, the Blazers would have a play where they would get the ball to Drew Holiday in those final situations, and he was usually, you know, for the most part, very clutch when it came to free throws at the end of games. So now that guy's not on the court. You've got to run some action to get DENI. Like, you would expect DENI to get the ball in these situations, and DENI was not getting the ball in numerous inbounds. Klingon gets the ball, has clutch free throws in 2 different situations that I can remember last night, in overtime and in regulation.
And I think he made
2.
one out of 4 of those.
Yep. He misses 2 in overtime, and he missed 1 in regulation that were key.
Yeah.
And that's not Donovan's fault at all. I mean, Donovan Klingon is not in there to be a clutch free throw shooter. He's not in there to be getting the ball to be fouled, to be put in that situation. He should not be getting the ball at all. It's inexcusable that Donovan Clingan is getting the ball in closing in clutch situations to shoot free throws. He should probably not be in the game, first of all. Now, due to personnel, I can excuse that, but he should be a screen setter. And if I'm an opposing team, I'm leaving Clingan open to get the ball, and that's exactly what happened in those situations. And it's ridiculous how it was treated during the end of the game. I was really pissed, Gliss. I was like, I can't watch this anymore. This is disgusting. I wanted to turn it off. The Blazers did not deserve to win that game. We can talk about DENI getting fouled at the end, too. Might as well do it right now. He wasn't fouled. He did not deserve free throws to end the game.
I agree with that, and I do not like Russell Westbrook, but I think he had a decent argument there, like with the game on the line. I don't know, man. There wasn't a lot of contact. It looked like contact. And I will also say, too, Mark Davis was really late making that call. That call came after the shot was already in the air.
Yeah.
In fact, if you watch the replay from behind, it looked like he called the foul like right as time was expiring, and the ball, like, I mean, it wasn't when there was that little bit of contact. That's for sure. So yeah, I kind of agree. Like, I think they kind of got bailed out at the end. And I said the same thing when we were talking right before the show, off air. Is like, yeah, I don't know that they deserve to win that game. I'm happy they did. And honestly, there's probably been some games where it felt like they should have won and some things didn't go their way. So, like I said, you'll take it. There's some give and take in that. But yeah, it was definitely. I mean, one of those inbound plays. I mean, it looked like the play was to give give the ball to the other team. I mean,
Right.
like, some of it was just like brutal to watch.
I mean, yeah, like the Blazers have that one inbounds play, and I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher it exactly what it is, but basically they have. It used to be Drew Holiday, but last night it was Jeremy Grant. Basically, they have some action to get him ISO'd in the post. And
Right.
So it's kind of an entry pass from the sideline into Jeremy Grant to get the ball. And so he has his defender pinned. And so it should be an easier pass to make. I can't remember who it was inbounding. It was probably CD. It might have been Chris Murray. But they threw the ball before Jeremy had the pin down. And it's just an easy steal. And then the other play was DENI comes around kind of a curl to the corner, which is just like common kind of basketball IQ. That's a really difficult pass to make, and he bobbles it out of bounds. And it wasn't necessarily his fault. I mean, he could have handled the pass better, but it's a difficult pass to play.
He's in a
pass
tough
to make.
position. Yeah.
When you're going to the corner, there's nowhere to go. So it's just like there's just like all this is stuff that's just adding up. It's just like, what is going on? Why are the Blazers not in situations to make themselves successful? I mean, there's just so much wrong with all of these kind of plays and everything that's going on. It was just super frustrating. And yeah, and back to DENI's last shot, biggest bailout that I can remember watching the Blazers. I mean, overtime, down one. They should absolutely lose this game. I'm watching DENI just run up the court thinking it's over, and then they just, like you said, get bailed out by a late call. I feel for Kings fans, but at the same time, I'm like, man, every team gets screwed.
Yeah.
Like, the Blazers have gotten screwed on late calls this season. They've gotten screwed on late calls throughout the history. Every team gets screwed on late calls, so I'm like, should I really be that upset? So I don't know. I don't know how to feel about any of this, Gliss. I'm just ranting out at this point because it's just extreme. I was just extremely frustrated after that game.
Yeah. And yeah, we're not usually, we're usually all about positivity, but it is a win, but it definitely was frustrating. And I will say, like, I think, especially given the situation Tiago Splitter was put in after the first game of the season, to be put in that position, I think he's done a relatively good job. I think there's been some inexperience that is shown at times, and I know he relies heavily on some of the staff, but there's definitely been some moments, and last night kind of highlighted some of the downfalls of, and again, it just might be experience. But those are things like the coaching staff, like they need to get better too if they want to go where they're trying to go, because that kind of execution is not going to do it in a playoff game, or even a play-in game. I mean, that's when you need to be at your sharpest, is at the end of the game, and to make mental errors, or just have plays that don't really put you in a situation to have success. Like you said, the one where DENI went into the corner. If he doesn't lose the ball, I mean, there's a good chance that he gets forced out of bounds. Like the way that those guys are going to get into him, he's just in a bad spot. So yeah, I think that the coaching staff definitely deserves a little bit of blame for how things turned out in that final 5 minutes and in overtime. But a win is a win. So that's that's the only thing I can say to kind of turn the page on it, is we're going to take the win. And unfortunately, it was there was a lot of negative things to take away, because as I told you right before we got on, my positive for this morning was going to be the fact that we finally got a Blazers game where it was a close game, and they were the team that kind of pulled away and were able to put a team away, because we haven't seen that a lot. A lot of the wins have been closer wins. And so I was like, with 5 minutes left, I was actually really encouraged. I was like, okay, this is another baby step in their progression for this season, to be in a game that's going back and forth. I think at that point there was like 8 or 9 lead changes, and they just like put their foot on the gas, and it was like, all right, they got this. And then they completely flipped the script on me. And by the time there was 30 seconds left, I was like, well, shit, now that's probably my wake up on the wrong side of the bed, because they completely let me down there.
This team never lets you relax. Being a Portland Trail Blazers fan, and we know that as we've been fans for a while. But the Blazers do win last night, and thank you for keeping me positive, Gliss. I think I'm the negative one. We're kind of, I don't know. It's weird because we've recorded quite a few of these episodes of this podcast now. We're still in our early days, but we've done a few episodes now, and I've never felt this way after a win. In fact, I've never felt this negative even after a loss. I feel like I don't know why this thing is just bringing me down. But I will try my best to wake up on the right side of the bed. The Blazers do beat the Kings, like we said, 134-133. And just some stats for you. Shaedon Sharpe had 26. DENI Advija, 35, 5-5. Klingon with 19 and 8. Grant had 29 and 5 and was amazing in overtime. Kept the Blazers alive. And that dunk, man, oh my God, that was nasty. Had a great dunk. And then Tumani had 17, 8 and 5. So a lot of great stat lines from the Blazers in this game. I just want to touch quickly as we close out kind of the discussion on this game on Shaedon Sharpe not playing in overtime. When Shaedon was not in the overtime lineup, I was like, what the? I was already pissed. And then I'm like, oh, wow, Shaedon's not playing. This is BS. Like, what kind of coaching is this? Like, I was like, honestly, at that point, I was like, okay, if he's sitting Shaedon because Shaedon did something dumb, like, that's ridiculous. Like, he needs to be in the game, no matter what. Teach him later. Let him play. Turns out Shaedon's on a minutes restriction. So I ate my words. The words that I was saying in my head about the coaching staff were wrong, and I will own that. I was completely wrong. But what happened to the days where it's like, and maybe I'm wrong about this, Gliss, so check me if I am. It used to be, oh, this guy's playing well. We'll see if that minute restriction holds. Is Shaedon really on that strict of a minutes restriction that he couldn't come in for overtime or couldn't come in to shoot free throws or something? Like, man, like, I don't know. And maybe the calf is that bad. And I do remember there was one play I saw him kind of reach for it a little bit. So maybe he was feeling it too and was like, oh, I got to be careful on this.
Kind of
I should stick
up.
to my I should stick to my minutes restriction. But what happened to the days, man? It's like, oh my gosh, like it used to be a minutes restriction was kind of like a loose thing, but Shaedon's been on a minute restriction, it seems like this whole season. And man, Shaedon, like it felt like Shaedon would have been in overtime when Klingon was shooting free throws. Like Klingon should not have been in the game in those situations. Like it
I
should have
agree.
been someone else. So it's like I don't know, Gliss. I don't know if I'm wrong on this, but
And
it's
in
just like
fact, that's been the case the majority of the season when they've been in those situations. That typically they've been pretty quick to make lineup changes in those kind of scenarios where it's kind of situational, offense defense late in close games. So yeah, it was a little surprising that they didn't stick to that, and he ended up, like you said, he ended up having to be in that position to take some clutch free throws. And that's not the guy, even if he is on the floor, he's probably the fifth guy out there that you want to be shooting those free throws. So
quick.
that was unfortunate. And he's not a bad free throw shooter.
Yeah,
But
that's exactly what I wanted to say too. He's like shooting 80%
yeah,
from the
no,
free
he's a
throw
good
line.
free throw shooter.
But
But
at the same time, he's a young big man.
yeah,
You don't want him shooting free throw. I mean, it's even regardless of the numbers, it's like an eye test thing. It's like, do I feel confident when I see Klingon going up to shoot clutch fourth quarter overtime free throws? It's like, no, it's not his role. He shouldn't
but
have to do it.
it's kind of the same thing with his 3-point shot. Like, it's like, if he's open, then yeah, it's like he can take that shot. He shoots it with confidence. But do I want to see him shoot 10 a game? No.
No.
Like,
And do I fully expect it to go in? No.
no. Yeah.
It's
It's a bonus. Yeah, it's a bonus
Yeah.
when we can get him to hit a open 3-point shot. That's fine. You can live with that.
Gliss, anything else you want to touch on about this Blazers Kings win in overtime? And the Blazers will play the Kings again, so that's going to be an interesting second round of this matchup after this game. I mean, both teams, the Kings are probably really pissed off. I imagine. I didn't see any of their post game pressers, but I couldn't mentally. But I'm sure they were really upset. And then, of course, the Blazers should be really upset, too. Tiago, I watched a little bit of Tiago Splitter's post-game presser, and I would say his mood it wasn't happy. I'll say that, which is appropriate. Anything else on the game, Gliss?
No.
Okay. So, Gliss, All-Star voting has begun. Have you been voting?
I have not.
Oh, Gliss.
I have not yet. I've been busy.
I've been busy. Okay.
I'll
All right.
do some voting tonight when I get to work.
There you go. So I have been voting. So yeah, I mean, I think we have talked a lot about DENI on this show. We've been so excited to see DENI's growth. And with kind of the community we're building here with the Wake Up RipCity podcast, I suggest everyone who's a fan of the Blazers, everyone who is a fan of DENI, to vote for DENI for the All-Star game. That's just going to help his chances, and give him an opportunity to play in this game. So let's all vote for DENI. That's my simple message for this episode: is vote for DENI for All-Star.
Let's do it.
All right, Gliss. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about was Zach Lowe. I listened to the Zach Lowe show quite a bit. Love kind of his takes, and obviously he's got a great basketball mind, and he's great at communicating the game of basketball, which is super important because he can really deep dive into the game and break it down, but then he can also relate to it on a bigger level, which is so awesome for him and kind of what he's doing at the Ringer. And he did a segment on the Blazers, so of course I was locked into that. He talked about shaedon quite a bit, which was really exciting to see. He talked about DENI as well. Talked about all the things we've talked about with the Blazers' lack of guards and injuries and things like that. So, Gliss, did you get a chance to listen to the Zach Lowe show about the Blazers, and what were your initial thoughts?
Yeah, I did, and I thought he had some really good points. They, it kind of for anyone who hasn't listened, kind of the main point I think Zach was trying to make is the fact that out of the teams that are kind of in that, that bubble, kind of in that play-in bubble, that they're the team that's just on the outside right now that seems like it has the most intent on being a playoff team. Like the team that, kind of had that, like, we made a run and got close a little bit last year, and now it's time to make the next step, which I think most Blazer fans would agree with. That's what we have been talking about the entire season. And part of the reason he felt confident that the Blazers were probably, I think it was a couple teams that he listed in particular. I think it was like Utah, Memphis,
Yep.
Sacramento. And he was basically like, this is the team that I kind of have, basically saying like they have the most upside. And he, as you mentioned too about Shaedon, he's been, a big believer in Shaedon, and he was kind of making the point that over the last week, he's really started to look good. And they kind of had I can't remember who was his guest on the show, but they were kind of talking about the fact that when he's not shooting, you know, 8 to 10 mid-range shots off of the dribble, that he's a much more effective player, and we haven't seen that in the last week or so. He highlighted, which I think we did on one of the podcasts last week, some of the passing that he had, that Jeremy Grant 3-point shot against Golden State, where he attracted the defense and then hit him in the corner. And so a lot of their talk about Shaedon was basically about his decision making. And I think he even made the point. He was like, if I were Tiago Splitter after that Golden State game, I would literally sit him down and watch film with him of that game and be like, you don't have to score 35 points a game, but if you have this kind of decision making every night, then you're basically going to be an all-star to superstar level player in this league based on your physical talent.
Yeah, I mean, you broke it down wonderfully, Gliss, and it's very exciting to see that from someone who obviously has a national perspective, watches all of the NBA, and that's a lot of teams to break down, but is still able to see kind of the potential in Shaedon Sharpe and what he is capable of. And yeah, exactly like you were saying, I remember he broke down a couple of Shaedon's plays in that Warriors game, and just how he was able to break down the defense so fast. He's just blowing by defenders. And then his decision-making was great in the game where he's making passes to Jeremy, like you were saying, very quickly off the dribble, one-hand passes, things like that are really, very difficult and very, show that his potential to be an all-star, a superstar, if he can really put his game together. And like you said, figure out that decision-making aspect. And so it's just exciting to hear Zach Lowe talk about it. Like, he has kind of the same thoughts and feelings that us as Blazers fans have.
Yeah.
And that's kind of difficult to get from the national perspective because, one, people aren't putting in the time to watch the Blazers play, and which is totally fair. There's 30 NBA teams to watch. And so it's difficult to find, those kind of people who really pay attention to how the Blazers are playing and really break it down. And it was just nice to hear. And it's like, yes, I agree with all this. They were all great points. They were all fair. And he ended the segment by saying, basically, hey, DENI, like you're taking the torch from Luka for the most complaints on fouls, which we've also touched on the show as well. It's like, man, DENI, just chill just a little bit when it comes to the putting the arms up after every shot, So, but we love DENI, so it's like, I don't know, you can't really be that mad at it.
It's hard. It's harder when it's your guy.
Exactly. He's averaging 26, 6 and 7 or whatever DENI's at right now. It's like, okay, I'll give him some leeway, and I'm sure Mavericks fans and Lakers fans feel the same way about Luka, but Luka really got a lot of hate for his complaining and stuff like that. So, but yeah, it was just great to hear it from Zach. Really enjoyed listening to it. Michael Pena was the guest he had on the show, and he was talking to him about that. So,
and
really
I will
awesome.
say too, both of them basically said that the Blazers have been one of the more fun teams to watch, and they did also kind of forecast their upcoming schedule, and basically were saying, like, if they're going to be the kind of team that we think they could be, this stretch in the next couple weeks should be a turning point for them. Like, if they want to be that team, then this is the time where they could make a little bit of noise and make a move up in the standings. And also the fact that they also brought up the injuries and the fact that they don't have a point guard at all right now. And he even said, if this team can get healthy and we can see Shaedon, playing this kind of basketball along with how DENI has been playing all season, he was basically saying this is a must-watch TV kind of team. So, like you said, it's good to hear your team get love on a national level, especially when we're, kind of tucked in the corner up in the Pacific Northwest away from from everybody else. So, yeah, it's definitely feels good to get some love.
Man, I hope they didn't watch the game last night. Awesome. All right, Gliss, anything else to add before we hop off here?
No, I'm going to go to bed.
There we go. Blazers will go back into action tomorrow against the Kings on the road this time. Very pissed off Kings, hopefully very pissed off Blazers team that's ready to play again. I just feel like after a game like last night, it's like you just want to play again so you can get it out of your system, so you can get away from it and just be removed from it. So I'm looking forward to the game on Saturday, praying that it's nothing like the game yesterday except for one thing in common, and that would be the dub. So the Blazers take on the Kings tomorrow. We'll be back next week on Tuesday for sure with another episode of the Wake Up RipCity podcast. Please like our video on YouTube and subscribe. We really appreciate it. Throw us a comment too. We love interacting with people, so throw us a comment as well. We would love to chat with you. All right, take care. We'll see you next time.